Okay, we are here with Claudia, a friend that I met on the internet when I was doing like language exchanges. How are you, Claudia?
Good. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast,
Thank
and
you.
we are here to tell your story because what I know is that you are a very good Spanish speaker,
Thank you.
and you are from a country where you speak two languages. So I want to know that part of your story. So where were you born, and how was your language experience?
Of course. So I was born in Montreal, which is a city in the province of Quebec in Canada. And it's a bilingual province, so we speak French and English. So thankfully, I was blessed that my dad is British, so he's very English, and my mom is French Canadian, so very French. So I was very blessed that I didn't have to learn either French or English, and I was bilingual. So I've never had to learn a new language, which is an advantage and disadvantage. They say that the first language you learn is always the hardest, and then apparently it's easier to learn more after that. So yeah, basically my whole childhood I was speaking equally French and English. I was never exposed to any Spanish. Unfortunately, I didn't know anyone who spoke Spanish. But in high school, we had a language option, which I did take, and we had Spanish classes in high school. So I did 3 years of Spanish in high school, but it was maybe once a week a class. So, it wasn't much, but it was
Yes.
something. And at that of a young age, I find you learn a lot faster maybe than as an adult. So when I graduated, I felt my level was not too bad, but then I completely, which was a mistake. It was definitely a mistake. I do regret it.
Okay.
I didn't practice it and then I lost it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's good to start. So before going to the Spanish story,
mhm.
I want to stay in the English French experience. So you said that you learned English and French basically from your parents.
Exactly.
Yes?
Yeah.
N- Yeah, from your parents. But how is the system in Canada, specifically in your region, in Montreal, Quebec, with languages? So people study in the two languages.
So the official language is French. So the government tries to protect that language. So most of the schools are French. There are many exceptions. They're very technical. Some people are allowed to go to English only speaking schools, but it's not everybody. Because that's not what they encourage, and they try to make it so that people really send their kids to French school, as it is the official language, and they're trying to protect that because, as we know, the rest of Canada only speaks English. So it's the only
Hmm.
province in Canada that really has French as its official language. So there's exceptions and all that, but they really encourage French. So most schools are French, and then they often have immersive programs in English. So they're starting to introduce that more and more because we know that English is a very international, important language. So they're starting to
Yeah.
introduce programs, immersion programs, and some universities, for example, like the one I went to, half my classes were in French and half my classes were in English.
Oh,
So it
okay.
really depends. There's a
Okay.
lot of intricacies.
Yeah, but what I understand is that mainly people is in Quebec, in Montreal, is native French speaker, no, at
A
first.
lot of people, yes. Not everyone.
Yeah.
Montreal, a bit less, but the rest of Quebec is very French, yes.
Okay. Okay. So, uh, in your youngest years, when you were a kid, and then a teenager, what was the language that you used most?
I use both exactly equally because I used to only speak English with my father and my dad's family, and only in French with my
Okay.
mom and her family. And my friends were half and
Oh,
half. So it was really split. My school was in French until much later, so
mm,
it was all French. But because of my dad and his family, I had
yeah.
equal amounts.
Oh, yeah. It was more for a family reason, no? That
Yeah.
you spoke both.
Mhm,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. So, we can go to the Spanish story.
Yes.
So you studied Spanish a little bit in school,
So,
and then you forgot it.
yes.
And when you met with the Spanish
Yes.
again.
So I did lose it, and I always thought that it would not be that hard to kind of pick up where I left off, but it wasn't the case for me. I don't know for other people, but so when was it? So we have a weird education system in Quebec. So before university, we have a different type of school that's called CEGEP. So we have high school, we have CEGEP, and then we have university. And I did have the option of taking Spanish in that period of schooling, and I didn't, which I regret again. And then it was in university. I remember I had a friend who had done, our university gave us the option to do kind of immersive exchange programs in different countries. And one of my friends had done it in Chile. So he had went for 6 months to practice his Spanish and work. And I remember he came back. He already had a background in Spanish, but I remember he got so advanced in his Spanish, and I was like, it just gave me the itch again, to kind of get back into it. But I didn't quite as much of that time either. I started looking into classes, but then it's hard to really get involved into learning a language. So I think I kind of put it off for a while. And then it's really when maybe 4 years ago, I was working full time, and I decided in the near future, I would like to do a trip. I would like to go maybe take a few Spanish classes. So I was like, I'm going to start right away to take one Spanish class a week. So I actually went online on, most cities have like their local classified ads, things like that. Like you can search for services, for goods. And I just typed in like Spanish lessons in my area. And I found a teacher, and I did see him for maybe 7, 8 months. So once a week we would meet up at a local library, and he would give me a Spanish class, and I would have a few exercises and homework to do. And I did that, but obviously, well, at the time I didn't know, but that's not enough to have a substantial learning in a foreign language, because it's not enough. The brain really needs repetition. So then I continued that for a while. And then I had a lot of vacations saved up from my job, because we're very seasonal. So it was approaching kind of the winter time here in Canada. It gets very cold and horrible weather. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to find a Spanish school so that I can go use my vacation to go someplace hot, someplace with nice weather, and at the same time take Spanish lessons. So I literally,
Okay, before moving on, you said that after school, your first experience studying formally Spanish was with a private teacher, just for you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and that your biggest inspiration was initially your friend.
Yes.
Who went to Chile.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that kind of reminded me, because like I said, I didn't know anyone who spoke Spanish. I think I wasn't aware of it, because now I notice it much more, and I notice there's a lot more people who are Spanish speaking. But back then, I feel like I wasn't exposed as much. So that's really what made me want to.
Yeah, and just to know, what did you study in the university?
I studied marketing and management, so a bachelor's in business administration.
Yeah, and you are working in that field.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, getting back to your last point, so you were looking for a hot place to escape from
as a bonus
from the Canada weather.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what did you do?
So I went on Google and I wrote Spanish schools in Central or South America. That's it. Press send.
Okay.
And
Google.
it was obviously a ton. And I went through them. I was trying to look at reviews, see if other students had reviewed some. And out of pure coincidence, pure luck, one stood out to me. It was called Panama. And they had 3 schools, one in the city, one in the mountains, and one in Bocas del Toho, which is an island between
Wow.
close to Costa Rica, the border. Not that many people know about it. A beautiful island. And there was great reviews. I was gonna go there for, and I just kind of picked it out of feeling, out of reviews, no specific reason, which is funny because then the
Okay.
whole rest of the story kind of unfolded from
Yeah.
that decision. And it was kind of complicated. So I don't even, looking back, it was kind of an adventurous choice because at the time I hadn't traveled much,
Yeah.
and you had to land into Panama City, switch airports, take an internal flight to go to the island,
Wow.
and then go to the
Yes.
school. And so
Okay.
that was in November of 2017. And I went, spent 4 weeks there. It was one of the best 4 weeks of my life. It was absolutely
Wow.
amazing. We had Spanish class
What
every
happened?
day from 8 to 12 or the morning. And then in the afternoon, you had all the other students from the school. You could go to activities, you could go to the beaches. We could do a bunch of stuff. So it was kind of a great mix between vacation and learning a language, which I really recommend to anyone who would want to learn a language. It's a really great way if you have vacation to kind of do that. So that was kind of the starting point of it all.
Yeah. So, and what was your level when you got to Panama for the
Yeah,
first
good
time?
question. It was, I would say, right under intermediate.
Yeah, but you could have like basic conversation or
I
more
could
than
have
basic
basic
conversation.
conversations. I had a lot of trouble with verb tenses. I don't think I could have told you a story in the past, let's say. I could
Okay.
talk in the present and kind of have a conversation with you, but the lacked vocabulary, of course, that's something that takes time,
Yeah.
and verb tenses especially.
Yeah. So you basically had an immersion experience, very intense immersion
Yes.
experience in Panama. It was very helpful. So what was the thing that helped you most in Panama? So it's just the interaction with locals, studying in the classes with teachers.
Yeah, so at that time, it was just a short period. For sure, the classes were the base of it. Because at the point where I was, I really needed to learn the grammar, you know? Because my goal was really to be trilingual. If your goal is to be able to travel and communicate with people, that's different. You know, that's a different story. Then,
Yeah.
you can learn different things. But my goal was really to be trilingual, so I knew I had to learn really the grammar and kind of the stuff that a lot of people don't really love learning, but I knew it was necessary and I needed a strong base. So for that
Yeah.
reason, for me, it was mostly the classes. And it was just great the way they were teaching. It was in groups, and we could interact with each other. There was videos. There was a lot of different multimedia kind of material to help you learn. And then
Yes.
obviously to complement that, it's super important. Um, we were thankful we were living on a small island, so everyone, just the attitude was very different. Like everyone was very friendly. They were used to having a lot of international people come to the island. I did have the chance to make local friends there, which was absolutely amazing. But
Yeah.
what's difficult, well, to me, what was most difficult is the accent. Because in
That's
school, they speak very slow, they speak very clearly, so you
yes.
think that you know. But when you go in the real world and people speak naturally,
Yes.
it's
That's
very,
a challenge. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's very, very fast. It's not always easy to understand. There's people from everywhere, so which is beautiful, but every country has their specific accent. Some are a lot harder than
Yeah.
others to understand. So that was the biggest difficulty for me, the speed and the accent compared to school.
Yeah, and you will say that when you were in Panama that first time, uh, you put some time studying alone or just in the classes?
Um, Honestly, I didn't study much alone because I was also on vacation.
Ah,
So
okay.
I was already the whole morning class, so I was kind of trying to use the rest of the time to really discover that the island and all the activities that it had to
Yeah.
offer. But we did have homework, which wasn't very long, but it's not at that time in my life that I put the most effort outside of class.
Oh, okay.
I was more, but I was
Okay.
I was forcing myself to talk, to really try, make mistakes, when going to the grocery store. Obviously they understand English, but try to really ask in Spanish. So,
Yeah, that what you recently said is very important. You were willing to make mistakes,
Exactly.
and it's the approach that you took in Panama.
Yeah.
So after these weeks in Panama, what happened for you?
Yeah, so then I had to come home. It came to an end eventually.
To the
Yes, and it was
cold
right in the
Quebec.
middle of winter. It was very cold.
Wow.
So I came back, I continued my job, but then at that point, I was more invested than ever to really continue and become trilingual. So at that point, I did start using a tool called Preply that does offer, it connects students and tutors from all over the world. So in every single language that you want to learn, there's tutors and there's students. And you can, there's a bunch of different budgets, there's presentation videos, you can choose who you prefer, who you have a good feeling with, and you have online lessons. So I did start doing that for a while. I think maybe with 2 or 3 tutors. So that helped a lot. And it's a very affordable way to learn a language because often in cities, the actual locales like that teach are extremely expensive
Yeah.
here. And for me, it just
Yeah.
wasn't at that point. It was just out of my budget. So there's a lot of tools as Preply that are very useful for someone learning a language that I do recommend. And I did that
Yes.
for a while, but then again, it's not immersive. And we know that life gets in the way. So you have work and you have your friends and you have it. So
Yeah.
you really need to be dedicated and and self
Yeah.
motivate, which is not for everyone, and it's not easy because you just
Yeah.
need to kind of do it yourself. So I did
Of
learn,
course.
but I wasn't learning very fast. And at the point, for me personally, I felt like once you're past the intermediate level, I find it's very hard to get to the advanced level. I feel like beginner
Yes.
to
That's
intermediate is
correct.
a lot faster than intermediate to
Yeah.
advanced. The curve is,
That's called the intermediate plateau.
yeah, yes.
I've heard.
I
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah.
I felt that for
Wow.
sure. And I thought that I was going to be really learning fast because I felt like I did progress fast, but then I really plateaued exactly like you said. And I've heard from many people that it was the case as well. So then I was
Yes.
thinking, and I had always planned to do a master's degree, but because of a work opportunity that was offered to me right when I graduated from my bachelor's, I never did do it. So I started working right away, but I always wanted to do it. So I was kind of thinking, how could I mix wanting to do a master's with I have a job currently, with I really want to put more effort into learning Spanish. So then I decided to start a master's program in Panama and move there
Mm.
and do it while
Wow.
working full time.
Yeah.
So
So before going to that
yeah,
master, your experience learning Spanish was basically in this platform Preply.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Preply.
Yeah.
And at that time, apart from Preply, you didn't do anything more. So out of those hours on Preply.
I think at that point, I was starting to watch some Netflix in Spanish, some shows here
Mm,
and there. But then again, it was still an effort, because I had to really concentrate and read the subtitles. And
yeah,
so it was still a struggle at that point. But I'm pretty sure I did do that along with a few classes, but not that much.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And maybe using these platforms of language exchanges that we used when we met at the
Yes,
time, like my language exchange. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So, and what happened in the master? So you
Yeah.
finally went again to Panama because you had fallen in love with the country.
Exactly. I loved it. Yeah. And here even when I came back, I couldn't practice with anyone because I didn't know anyone who spoke Spanish here, so I wasn't practicing it. So I moved to Panama City. So I had visited a few universities. It's not easy when you're not even at an advanced level of Spanish to try to understand how the education system works there, understand
Mm,
all the prerequisites and all that. So I had met some people during my trip in Boca. Some were in the city now, and I did have help from a very close friend of mine. So he did come with me and he helped me around. I mean, a new city is always difficult, just the logistics, the transportation, and finding
Yeah.
and all that. So it did work out. And when I had talked to the director of the program, she told me, "Oh, there's going to be many international students in the program, so don't worry about it, even if your Spanish is not advanced yet." But turns out there was none. It was just me. So
Just you.
it was just me
So
and
you were.
all Spanish natives.
So most of them were from Panama or other Latin
So
American
I would say
countries.
half were from Panama and half were from different countries. So one from Colombia, Mexico, Peru, Argentina,
Okay.
different countries, and obviously a few from Panama as well. So the master's was in international business with a
Okay.
specialization in marketing. So I started doing that, and I was still working full time remotely.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you work
Yeah.
remotely.
So
Yes.
I was working remotely the day, and then at night I would go to university, and the program was 1 year and 8 months. So still a
Yeah.
commitment, you know?
Okay.
But I was
Yeah.
determined, you
When
know?
did you start? Yeah. 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 When did you start the master?
I started it in, I believe, 2019.
Before the pandemic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay. So you started, yeah,
Mhm.
you started studying there the master. And how was that experience?
Yes.
So how did you feel? Especially talking about the Spanish, because obviously in an academic
Hmm.
experience situations,
Yes.
the use of the language is different.
For
So
sure.
it's more
For
formal,
sure.
more serious.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had never had a formal use or training in Spanish. So I knew it was going to be difficult. And I knew that I just had to be not too hard on myself and kind of be patient with my
Yes.
learning. At first, I did not understand much. Not because, again, it goes back to what we were saying, because of accents. The accents were
Ah,
so difficult to understand. Some of my classmates, I couldn't understand. I was like, okay, 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 okay. I couldn't understand anything. Some I could understand good. Some no. Same thing for teachers. So it was kind of luck of a draw. Some teachers, one teacher was from Spain. I remember that was difficult. The
okay.
Spain accent was
Yes.
difficult. Yeah. So I did my best, you know. Obviously, I predicted, you know, that I had to really schedule a lot of time for it because, first of all, master's is a high level of education in any language, even in your native
Yes. Yes.
language. So even a
Yes.
master's in French or in English would have been difficult.
Yes.
I mean, as it should be.
Hmm.
So doing
Absolutely.
it in a foreign language is just the
Yeah.
extra challenge, you know?
Yeah.
So evidently, let's say a reading would take me maybe 4 times as much time as a
Oh, yeah.
native, or a work, an assignment would take me a lot more time than someone else in the class, let's say. But it was okay. I was really motivated to learn Spanish, and at that point, I really wanted to do it in Spanish, so it was still fun, and I was happy. And the main thing is that I was happy to almost have something that was forcing me to study. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
not forcing
Yeah.
you, but kind of, because you have to give assignments, you have exams, you have readings.
Yeah.
There's a deadline. Deadlines are what's
Yeah.
important.
At the end of the day, it's like a survival experience
Yeah,
with the language.
yeah,
Yes.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
It's great to learn a language. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And I had to put so many hours in, but I was happy because I don't think I would have done that on my own, just learning it as a
Yeah.
leisure, as a, just as a something that I'm interested in doing and pursuing. So it really forced me to do work. And also, it's not just talking. It was, yes, talking, but a lot of reading. And I really believe in
Yeah,
reading. Like when I
absolutely.
was small, like I used to read a lot in French and English, and I think that really helped me like develop language skills. So university, in a context of university, there's a lot of reading. So I feel like that really helps with vocabulary. And even if you don't, learn it right away, the brain is a powerful thing, and it
Yeah,
records
sure.
and it just takes it in. So that was really good. And there was a lot of oral presentations. So that was
Oh,
terrifying at first.
wow. How was
So
that?
yes, so that's difficult, especially accent wise, and because you have to be confident, you have to know what you're talking about. So both combined was a challenge, but it was good practice, because it really teaches you how to express yourself, how to talk. Um, and yeah, I went
Yeah.
through the program. I think the thing I was the most uncomfortable about was my accent, because for some reason, even some people pick up accents a lot better than others naturally. Some people just have
Yes.
accents. Me, even if I was putting in hours and I did immersive experiences and I was in the masters, my French accent was just too strong. And
Oh,
that's like a
yeah.
particular thing, like French, it's the R that I have trouble with. And in
Yes.
Spanish, the R is in the mouth. In French, the R is pronounced in the throat. So
Oh, yeah.
I tried, tutors tried, friends have tried, teachers have tried, and there's exercises for that. There's speech therapy exercises, but no, it was not coming out for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That all this accent thing
Mhm,
is very interesting because I feel the same. For example, I cannot eliminate my accent, my Spanish accent into my English.
mhm.
But I think as far as you can be understandable,
Exactly.
it's okay. And I think you
Exactly.
finally, your Spanish is very understandable,
Mhm.
and it was in the master, yes, for your classmates and
Yeah.
teachers.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the thing. At some point, I really realized, and I remember one time, one of the teachers or tutors I had online had told me, your accent gives you your unique factor, your accent, yeah,
Identity.
your identity, where you're from, and
Yeah.
you're trying to learn a language,
Yes.
you're trying to integrate, you're trying to open up your horizon. So it's like, yeah, an accent is not
Yeah.
a bad thing. And it makes me think. The other day I was scrolling on LinkedIn, and one of my contacts had shared a post, and it was a man holding a sign, and it was saying, it was, do you know what a foreign accent is? It's a sign of bravery. And they were basically saying in the description, they were like, a foreign accent implies that the person is smart enough to want and to know two languages and brave enough to do their
Wow.
job in the second, or to go to school in the second, or to live in the country that speaks
Wow.
the second. So they were like, an accent is actually a huge sign of bravery, So they were like, we should definitely
Wow.
embrace that, you know?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I
A
love it.
sign of bravery. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be the title of this episode.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
because it is. Staying in your
Yeah.
language is okay, but it's staying in your comfort zone. Learning a language is hard, and it's outside your comfort zone, and it implies that you need to be confident, and you need to do effort, and a lot of people are shy, and you need to be outgoing, and you need to not be afraid of making mistakes, and like it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree with
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Yeah, and we can talk about this for hours.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, yeah. But then finally what happened with your master?
Yeah.
In the middle of that, it was the pandemic
Yes.
that occurred?
So I continued it, and it started at the beginning. It was very hard, but rapidly it got better fast. It got easier fast, and then it got more enjoyable, because then I felt like my level was really nearing the advanced level. I was doing very well academically, even if it was in Spanish. And then I got a lot of friends, because then I was spending more time in the city. So then obviously I joined a gym, and I had groups of friends and all that. And in those
Mm.
places, I obviously befriended a lot of people, a lot of Panamanians, people who were from Panama, or there's people from everywhere, right? In Panama, it's very, it's like a hub. It's a big business hub. So there's really people from all over the world.
International.
So I kept learning from that, kept learning from school, kept working. And that was one thing that I found a bit difficult, was that I was working all day in French. So that, I think that hindered a little bit my progress, because if I would have only been in Spanish for 2 years, I think I would have learned even faster. The fact that for so many hours of the day I was back in French, it kind of switched my brain off, and then on.
Yeah, it is because you told me that you kept your online job,
Yes.
remote job, while you were there.
Exactly.
Yes?
So it wasn't remote. They just allowed me to do it remote while I was there. So I was still speaking in my native languages the whole day. So you kind of have to switch back,
I get it.
Yeah. And then there was COVID, which was definitely, Panama got hit really, really hard by COVID, because there's so much travel there's so much traveling in and out of Panama that it rapidly got infected. And the methods that the government decided to use was very like full quarantine. We couldn't go out, couldn't go to the grocery store only a specific day, a specific time based on your passport. It was very, very strict. So at that point, but at that point, I already did quite a bit. I think I had 2 semesters left only. So I really did most of it in person.
Oh, yeah.
So I only had a little bit online, which I didn't like as much. I'm happy that I did have the chance before to do it in person, because then the best memories that I have was me being in class with my friends, my classmates. Like, those were really the best memories I have. Sure. So I think if it would have only been online, I wouldn't have had that experience. But it continued working even with COVID, continued the classes online with COVID. And at that point, my FICA's master's program has a thesis, of course. So thesis was approaching, I started working on it. And then I had to move back to Canada before the end of the program because I had purchased a home and my home was being delivered to me. So I had to come back for technical reasons. But because classes were online, I could do that, thankfully. So I came back in August of not this year, the year before that. And at that point, I only had a few weeks of classes left. So I finished the classes online from Quebec, from Canada. And then I finished my thesis, also from Canada. And then because of COVID, I had the opportunity to defend my thesis in front of the jury online as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, in Spanish.
In Spanish. So that was kind of the defense of my thesis was really the culmination. And it's something that I'm very proud of, because it was kind of, it went very well, and I got really a top grade that I was hoping for, and it was really kind of the end goal of that entire journey, like being able to obtain graduate degree and defend the project that I had been working on. And at that point, I felt confident. I felt fluent. I felt comfortable in Spanish. I felt like English, French, and Spanish were almost kind of mixing now. One wasn't harder than the other. So that was really a great moment for me.
Yeah, it's like a close story that you started that first moment when you went to Panama just for vacation.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you end the story with a presentation, very formal presentation to defend your thesis.
Exactly.
So it's incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank
for that.
you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So now you have a master, you have that degree.
Yes.
You feel that you've reached obviously a very high level in Spanish.
Yes.
And right now you are in Montreal, Quebec, and how is your connection with the Spanish, the language?
So when I moved back, obviously it was a part that I was really missing, that's speaking Spanish and being with people who spoke Spanish. So I became much more aware of it. And I feel like once you're aware of it, it just opens up. Now I started hearing Spanish on the street and in restaurants, and just things that I would have never noticed before. Now I was kind of picking up on it. And I realized that the community was a lot bigger than I thought. Like there's actually
Huh.
a lot of people who are natively Spanish that live here in Montreal. I just never was
Yeah.
exposed or connected for some reason. So I befriended some people in the condo building where I live, for example, that are Spanish speaking, and then friends of friends. Obviously, I mean, I still have a lot of English and French. I mean, that's normal considering where I
Yeah.
live. But slowly, I started kind of extending that network. And then recently, where all my Spanish has come from is that I decided, and I don't know why I didn't start that in Panama, but I picked up an interest for Latin dancing, so salsa and bachata. So
I know very well that.
yeah,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is odd because I could have done it there, but I never. But there was a
Yeah.
great school here, downtown Montreal, that was offering Latin dances, and I joined. And since then, I've just been going to a lot of social dancing events, and obviously there it's a large majority of people from Central South America.
Yeah.
And so I've made friends, a lot of events that we go to, a lot of parties, I still go to class every week. So I take
Hmm.
classes there, and I really make an effort because obviously they live here, so they do speak French or English or both. But I really tell them, no, 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 like, vamos a hablar español.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to speak Spanish, because I want to practice and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's fun, because then they get to speak it too. So for now, that's really my main way to keep practicing and keep enjoying it, really.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I think in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I've seen your videos on
Yes,
Facebook dancing bachata
yes,
and salsa, and you dance very
thank
well.
you.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. And so you dance very well, Latin music, you speak very well Spanish. So, and this last thing that you said is very interesting, that you have to find something that gives you joy to connect
Exactly,
with the language.
exactly.
And music is something very big for you.
For sure,
Yes?
yes. And now, I got to a point now where it's not an effort. Spanish is not an effort for me anymore. So now I can just
Yeah.
enjoy it because now it doesn't cost me to speak Spanish. It doesn't cost me to understand when people talk to me. So now is the fun part. Now is where you can just
Yeah.
enjoy what you worked for,
Yeah.
and it allows you to
Yeah.
meet so many people, and you can just enjoy it and find. I was lucky to really find an activity that turned into a passion that's also very linked with Spanish. So that's a
Yes.
blessing, no way. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. You're very like extrovert person, I think.
I try.
Yes? Yeah. Yeah. And you're a sportswoman too. Yeah.
I love her.
You practice. Yeah. You practice this thing with horses. What's the
Yes,
name of
horseback
the sport?
riding.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
did. I got a lot of injuries, so I had to stop. Unfortunately, same thing. I was doing a lot of CrossFit, got injured a lot, had to stop. So I'm really happy to have found dancing 'cause that's something that I seem to be able to do. So
Yeah.
it's really been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, very, very interesting ideas. So to end to the last part of the conversation, what would you say for a person who wants to learn a second language
Mhm.
and to try some new life experience with that language?
Mhm. I think, I don't think there's a recipe that fits all, And like we were saying, some people are more outgoing, some people are more introverted. I think there's so many tools and options out there, but I think you really have to pick the one that's right for you. I don't think
Yes.
moving to a new country is for everyone, But there's
Mm.
always something that is suitable for you. That's the thing. You just have to
Yeah.
find it, A lot of people, if you're
Yeah.
not comfortable in group settings, find an online tutor. It can be, there's always an option for the type of person that you are. And I think like for your goals and what you want to achieve. Some people have a lot more time than others. Some people want to learn very fast. Some people want to, they have all their time. So I think it's just really putting the finger on like the tool or the method that's right for you kind of thing. I definitely think some things are great for everyone, like Netflix,
Yeah.
almost everyone watches movies, videos, YouTube. A lot of YouTube is in Spanish, so I think that those are a really great tool. Once again, all cities almost have language schools, which can be pricey, but depending on your situation, that's an option. If not, online community is huge. There's even in Montreal, we have a Facebook group that's called Montreal Language Exchange, and they literally organize get-togethers and gatherings, and you kind of regroup in like what language you're learning. Some people are learning Mandarin, some people are learning Spanish, some people want to practice French. So you kind of regroup, and then you can meet friends, you can meet people. So that's really a great way. Obviously, if you want to take it a little bit more extreme, a trip abroad is great. If you can, there's so many overseas jobs that you can do. So many countries have programs. I mean, obviously we have to check technically, but like that allows you to work there for a while without doing the whole visa process. If you can go to school in another, like I did, I mean, that for me was really the turning point. So that would definitely be a great way to learn language. And even if it's not a full degree, you can take a class in something, it doesn't have to be a full degree. Like I could have went to a country and worked remote and taken dance classes or cooking classes or, anything that you like, really.
Yes.
That's for the base. And then I think finding friends that speak the language that you're trying to learn is really great. Really a fun way to learn. And joining an activity that has the languages you speak, really great as well. And I always say that there's no miracle, there's no secret recipe. It's hard. It's hard, but it's fun, but there's no shortcut, so you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to go outside your comfort zone. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. And it's just practice, practice, practice. Talk every chance you get. Read every chance you get. Just put yourself out there.
Yeah, and I have to add that there in this like language learning experience, there are lots of ups and downs.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
So you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah, and I felt like my progress was not linear. Sometimes I felt like I was going down, it was really like a curve, Sometimes I felt like it was getting worse than the week before, and I was frustrated, but a lot of people told me that that's normal, learning a language is not linear. It's not linear at all.
Yeah, it's like life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, to end this conversation, we can go a little bit to Spanish to hear your Spanish. And we can say goodbye in Spanish. Bueno, Claudia, entonces podemos terminar la conversación en español.
Sí, fue un placer, gracias.
¿Sí? ¿Qué quieres decirle a la gente que aprende un segundo idioma, así en cortito?
Sí, yo diría, que lo intentan. Y un tip es de hacerlo todos los días. En mi opinión, hacer algo, aunque sea 5 minutos, 10 minutos, 15 minutos, lo que sea, lo que tienes el tiempo para hacer, hazlo. Que eso va a cambiar todo y el cerebro va a aprender mucho más, y que una vez que has aprendido otro idioma, todo nuevo mundo se abre. Nueva gente, nuevas ocasiones. Cuando viajas es una experiencia completamente diferente. Yo lo recomiendo muchísimo y, fue una experiencia increíble y soy más que agradecida de haberlo hecho, pues.
Genial. Eso de aprender una lengua abre un nuevo mundo.
Wow.
Es una gran manera de terminar la conversación. So, thank you very much, Claudia,
You're
for being here.
welcome.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.